What's going on, everyone? Nathan here. So throughout my entire life and all my different houses I've lived in, I always had TVs there, and even in college I had the TCL 4K Roku Smart TV. It's honestly a really great TV for a relatively cheap price, but once I moved into my new apartment, it kind of looked out of place along this wide open wall. And just absolutely crazy timing, but when I was looking for a larger TV to fill up this wall in my living room, a company by the name of Paris Rhone reached out to me and they wanted to send me their SP005 True 4K Ultra HD Projector to feature in a video. So I've never owned or really used a projector before, and I thought I'd try something new, and when they told me that this can get up to 200 inches, I just couldn't turn it down. So this video is not being sponsored by Paris Rhone at all, so everything that you're about to hear are my own true thoughts and feelings about this product. So let's get right into the review and let's talk about what comes inside the box. Inside you'll find the projector, obviously, a remote control, which doesn't come with batteries, so make sure you have a pair of AAA batteries to power this. You also get the power adapter, an HDMI cable, and the user manual. So moving on to the size and build of this projector, it is packed full of features, and to accommodate for all of that, I'd say that this projector is on the slightly larger side. It comes in at roughly 11.4 inches by 11.3 by 7.1 inches and weighs 9 pounds, so yeah, it's a pretty beefy boy. The body is made out of plastic while the front and back have this rough fabric material on it. There were large vents on the sides and bottom to push out air to keep it cool while using, and I'll actually return back to these vents later on in this video. Also found on the underside is an angle adjuster switch which pops out a single foot to angle the projector up slightly. This also comes with a decent amount of ports found on the back. Going from left to right, you have the power input, an Ethernet port, 2 USB-A ports, 2 HDMI ports, audio out, and a USB-C port. On the top is where you'll find the power button, which switches from red to white whether on or off, and on the front is where you'll find a circular silicone cover, and pulling it off will reveal the lamp, which is rated to get over 40,000 hours of use before burning out. Overall, I think the build of this is solid, it doesn't feel cheap, and the design is really pleasing, especially compared to many other cheaper projectors out there on the market today. So before moving over to like the more important features like image quality, I want to show you the setup that I have for this projector because it actually took me like quite a while to set up, and I'm kind of proud of how it came out. So this is it right here. I have this mounted above my couch and it sits on the Siondo floating entertainment wall mount in all white. So it took me a decent amount of time to find the right mount for this because I didn't want to go with a ceiling mount just because I didn't want to deal with that like in the apartment, and stand mounts, it's just not sturdy enough because this is kind of a big projector. So after a lot of search, I decided going this one because of its large plates, and it turns out that it's still too big for the plates, but we're making it do. So to compensate for it hanging over the edge, I had to prop up the front of it with one of my table coasters. But what's nice about this is that the mount actually has 2 levels to it, so I can also put my Xbox on the other one, which is what I use to watch all of my shows, movies, and game on. So I ran all the cables from both the Xbox and projector into these holes on the bottom plate, wrapped them in white cable protector, and then down the wall into the Evo cord hider to make this a little cleaner. This faces the opposite wall from my couch, and at a distance of about 11.5 feet, this gives me an equivalent projection size of 120 inches, which actually looks so sick to watch just about anything on. This projector does have built-in speakers, which I'll talk about in a little, but I usually connect this to my Sonos Play 5, which is in my entertainment center, and this faces back at me to give me the richest sound I can get. And to help me get the best image possible, I close my room darkening curtains, but the only other thing that I would like to get in the future is a projector screen because my walls are not white, they're kind of like an off beigeish color, and there's also a slight texture to it, which I'm sure is affecting the image quality in some way, but as of right now, that is my setup with this projector. So let's move on to the most important part of this projector, and that's obviously its image quality. This projector gets you a true 4K output, and just for reference, here's what my 43-inch TV looks like on the same wall, and then here is the Paris Rhone at 120 inches. The first time I turned it on and saw the 120-inch projection, I was actually shocked at how large it is in person, and the fact that this can still get 80 inches larger is just mind-blowing to me. This has a standard aspect ratio of 16:9, and it also has HDR10+, so you get some great contrast out of it with bright highlights and deep shadows. This really helps make the projection come to life no matter what you're watching. The colors are vibrant, and you can even adjust the picture profile by pressing this button on the remote, and here you can change the brightness, contrast, saturation, hue, and sharpness to fine-tune the image based on what you're watching. It's just really hard to portray the quality and size of this display through a camera, but whether you're gaming, watching anime, a great series, or just a classic movie, the image you get out of this is just overall really impressive. So just the nature of projectors, they work the best in very dark settings such as basements or dedicated home theater rooms. And I can't stress enough that this image quality is great in these dark settings, but as soon as you start adding light, it falls apart pretty quick. Even at 600 lumens of brightness, the bulb can't compete with external lights, especially at a distance, and I won't hold this to Paris Rhone because this is just the nature and limitations of projectors. So now moving back to those speakers that I mentioned earlier on in the video, the internal speakers inside of this projector are actually really good. I have tested the sound quality of this with everything from explosions in shows to music and video games, and it is surprisingly rich. There are two 12-watt speakers facing out the side vents, and this gets really loud and has great separation as the voices sound forward and background sounds or music feel pushed back towards the back of this projector. And there's also something really cool about the audio coming out right from above your head that makes me feel like I'm in that much more of like a movie theater scenario. So I know that I said I mainly connect this to my Sonos Play 5 for like my audio because I mean, like, who wouldn't? It's an absolute fantastic speaker. But even if you don't have anything else, I don't think you'd be disappointed by the built-in speakers in this projector. So now I want to talk about some other features that you get with this projector that I just really appreciate. The first is its auto focusing feature when you turn it on. As soon as you turn it on, its opening animation plays and then it will begin to autofocus itself with one of those like eye exam tests from like an eye doctor's office. Sometimes it doesn't quite hit focus, and to make it try again, you just press this middle button in the controller. This also has Android 9 built into it, so you have access to over 7,000 downloadable applications for a versatile home interface. And just because this took me a while to figure out, if you want to change the input on this, it's this button at the top left. There are also different projection modes, so whether you have this mounted onto the ceiling, on a table, you can flip the picture so it will work in your personal setup. And then here are some other notable features built into this projector that I feel are worth pointing out. So while I have really enjoyed this projector, there are a few small things that have bothered me about it. The first is that this doesn't come with batteries for the remote, and I mean, come on, please just include 2 AAA batteries. Like when I got this, I had to then run out to the store and it was just inconvenient. The next is that I personally don't think the cable and power brick are long enough. This is why I had to fasten my adapter to the wall because it wasn't long enough to reach the floor, and I just think that if it was a little longer to give some people more flexibility when mounting it to like a wall or the ceiling, I think that would help out a lot of people. Also, I think this projector takes just a little too long to shut down. Once you press the power button, it takes about 12 seconds for it to turn off, which I know isn't a super long time, but usually I'm like standing on my couch to turn it off, and then I press the button and you see the countdown on the wall counting down from 12, and I'm just like standing there like waiting for it to fully turn off, and I just kind of wish it turned off a little quicker. And then circling back to the fans on this projector, they definitely do get loud. Nothing crazy, but you can hear them. On Paris Rhone's website, they say the fans produce an ambient sound less than 40 decibels, but I have seen reviews where they recorded them at about 55 decibels. They're just pushing out a lot of warm air to keep the internals cool so it doesn't overheat while you're watching, which is understandable. And to be fair, this is mounted right above my head, especially like while I'm watching, but if you were to like put this on the ceiling or on a table, it might not be so close to your ears, so it might not be as noticeable to you. This is not a deal breaker by any means necessary. I just wanted to point it out to you. You can hear the fans running on this. And the last thing I didn't love with this is that the image projection is not very color accurate. Now, it's not bad by any means, and when you're watching something, you really don't notice it. Sometimes the highlights blow out, or you'll just lose some details in the shadows, and this is where that picture mode will come in handy. You go in there, adjust the contrast. It should make it better for whatever show you're watching. You might just have to change it based on the show, but it's definitely not bad. When you're watching, you really don't notice. So at a price point of $699, but currently on sale for $550, my recommendation is, well, honestly, it really just depends on what you're gonna use it for. And I know, that's such a cop-out answer, but I think a projector, more so than any other product that I've reviewed on this channel so far, really does depend on your intended use case with it. If you plan on just straight up replacing your TV with something that can be watched during the day on weekends, or if you just don't have a large enough area to project this onto, then it might not be worth it. Like I've said before in this video, its projection with ambient light sources isn't great, and it really limits this to dark scenarios. But if you are actually in the market for a projector specifically and you have a dark setup, then I don't see why not to recommend this projector. It has true 4K video output, produces a beautiful image, it can get up to 200 inches, has great speakers, and is easy to use, then I think this beats out most other projectors within this price range. But please take my recommendation with a grain of salt, because I'm not claiming to be some kind of projector expert. This is my very first projector, but as a first-time user, I've absolutely loved my experience with this and its performance, since I mainly only watch everything at night. I have decided that this will be replacing my TV completely and is going to be an awesome addition to my apartment setup. So I want to thank Paris Rhone for sending me this projector to feature in this video. I really enjoyed my time with it, and if you're interested in picking one up for yourself, then definitely check down in the description. I'll leave a link to the website right there. So I just wanted to run this idea I had by all of you real quick. So while I was like filming for this video and writing the script for it, I actually got an idea of like creating like a movie theater setup. I'd get a couple speakers, make it surround sound, get a couple other like little cool additions, and really just go all out. And if you would like to see that, definitely let me know down below in the comments. So that's gonna be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, then please don't forget to hit the like button down below and subscribe. And as always, have a great day, everyone. Cheers.